All right. I think I'm back. I don't know. Stream crashed. And when I tried to log back in, it wasn't letting me log in to show or to see like anything. It said either log out, log back in. I don't know what that's about. Um, if you weren't here for the first part and here for the second part, first part sucked. So don't even bother going to the VOD of that. Um, I think I'm finding out I'm just brain dead right now. I need to ease back into this whole work thing. Um, So I'm gonna edit photos. If you want to ask me something, I am here to talk. Otherwise, I'm gonna kind of not cruise on autopilot, but probably just jam on some photos. Good Lord. Oh, and I did find out I have a good way of doing all the pre-recorded videos. So I've started to record a couple of them. I've got a couple topics and whatnot that I think are good. A lot of them around photos, just because that's kind of my natural wheelhouse. Pretty easy in terms of like production needs. Um, Talking about it's kind of a crowded space in terms of a topic, but more like my process for cinematic style color grading. Um, it may be identical to someone else's out there. I don't really know, but um, I don't know. I think I've kind of gotten to a point where I'm happy with the process that I have in terms of how I layer on the different grids. So I don't want to make a video about something as like a technical aspect and suddenly go in about face and just be like, oh fuck yeah, I realized that was really stupid. I wouldn't be the only one to have done it, but ideally I can avoid things like that. So I'm gonna try and just stick to what I know for some of these first videos, but yeah, there's a couple things like in terms of like capturing um, keyboard input as I'm recording those videos. So if you have shortcuts, you can kind of follow along with that. Um, but really just kind of getting into like the technical aspect of it. Um, Nothing groundbreaking yet. I think there could be some interesting things as it pertains to getting into like non-technical topics. But I think the most utility for people is definitely going to be in technical, like, how do I do this? Here's my answer in 1 minute or less. So that's should be coming out soon. And again, if you have any requests for that, definitely don't be shy. And if you weren't here for the first part of the stream, there is a new section on my website. You can do Twitch chat. It's exclamation point survey. Gives you the link. Maybe it doesn't give you the link. Huh. Yeah. There's no link. So good luck. If you can find it, more power to you. No, it's not like if you go originals and then live, there's a section called feedback. There's supposed to be a Streamlab bot that like gives me all these. Like if you type in commands, it gives you links and all this stuff. I think it took the night off, so Shit out of luck. So what I have issues with, the color balance is just strange. But this spot right here feels almost like a blowout. I think the original's close. That's not the original. There's no fucking way. That's the original. I do like it better. I'm just not sure why that is so. It might be the local adjustment. Yeah, that's not helping. Huh. Um, yeah, I don't know what. I don't want to try again. I've had a lot of issues with this photo over the years. Like, to me, like just looking at the grid here, you can see like it just feels unnaturally heavy through here. I don't know if I was doing that to kind of offset. This feels more balanced, but it's so unrealistic in terms of like the balance of light and dark. And maybe it's really not that far off if I'm gonna get this blowout, not a blowout, to a good spot. Um, yeah, this color grade is not it. I want to reset this. Yeah, is what I thought too. I was doing too much, so I did the color grade kind of quickly. I didn't really like it, and I tried to save it by going back to the white balance, and I don't advise that. So maybe I need to do less like pushing and pulling in certain spots. But it's wild, like there's no local edit on this. Like how highlighted, like how lit this is and how dark this is. I mean, it's slightly accentuated, maybe slightly is lights. Like, so if you push lights, it really can blow things out quickly. Like if you have a really dark image like this and you just start nuking the lights, like you can almost, you can, you can blow it out just on that one slider. It's kind of wild. I don't really understand why it's so powerful, but definitely is. And like as I'm darkening it, I'm okay with losing information here. I just want the contrast to feel plausible, is what I would say. The second it feels like this is painted in, like it doesn't, I don't know, it's not the vibe I want. Now I'm kind of second guessing everything with this. And I did move this HSL. I think I talked about it last time I was doing photos. I moved it ahead of color grading in an effort to, I see this is more of like a local edit, trying to get like the information of the image correct first before dumping any sort of like wholesale color grades on it. I'm just like, I find myself just skipping over it already. Like, I don't know what my problem is. I have a hard time buying off on it. I just get too interested in like stylistically what I can apply to it. Like, this is just sort of like kind of a laborious sort of process of just getting the base of the image in a good spot, but it's really, it's smarter approach. I don't always do the smarter approach, as you might learn. Yeah, it's not. Hmm. Not much is responding because I think it's a pretty narrow range of values. And so these sliders are really the only reason why I initially moved color grading above HSL, is because if I can dump value, like my preferred way would be with these sliders. I just think it's smoother for like a softer gradation. And even for like if I want to like lift the shadows and really kind of nuke the contrast on the low end, lifting these up really helps a lot, in my opinion. Oh, see, I didn't do the balance again. I need to create new presets. Like so all these, it does all the same things in terms of creating the points, but it just skews the balance for color grading, and it shifts all of these, I don't know what these are called, like reference points for the tonal curve. Because I just do a grade and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna have to like, the highlights aren't really being affected all that much. I better nuke it instead of just moving the balance. Again, slow learner. And this one's really strange too, with like how narrow the value window is. You can see the color start to be applied in almost like cloudy applications through, because like the mist is kind of oscillating between the light and dark. You're getting warmer tones show up in both, and it accentuates the cloud in not a great way, if you ask me. Don't think I want that. It's too saturated. Just a little bit of cooling. Yeah, that's too heavy. The midtones are really kind of, I'd say the pun set the tone, but I think I'm above that. Probably not. You don't want to like bring it back to like more neutral. Fine. This is the original. But I mean, pretty similar in terms of like color and saturation, actually, looking at it. It's just I've gotten a lot softer. I've gone soft. I can admit that. That color just feels pasted. Oh, it's interesting. Like literally everything went to blue, like, that my eye was preferring. I don't know. It's a good thing. I don't know if I just got the color balance wrong. I'm kind of running from like a warm sunrise. All of them? It's got to be mid-tone. Oh, the highlights are warmer. So that gives actually quite a lot of balance. I'm just looking at like the histogram values as I'm hovering over these shadows, because some of them look kind of dark, or like they look saturated with blue, which I can understand why, but they look a little over saturated. You can see like the blues are kind of outpacing almost everything in terms of value. And you can't even lift them. Also, I was gonna like maybe dump the blues, which is so strange. Like if you think about, like there's blue value in this, unless I'm crazy. My eye just sucks that bad, but that's supposedly green is what's being affected here. Kind of important one to get right, because there's so much transitional colors happening through there. I think this one's definitely going to need some additional curves. Yeah. I'm really just trying to like duck a little bit of the blues in the shadows. This feels better. It's a little less saturated, but it's not a lot. And so this is the problem with Lightroom. Like you're really like you might not even be able to see me making movements on the curves panel, although you could probably should be able to see it in the actual image itself. But like it is one pixel nudging. I don't No, you can't do unless I'm wrong. No, you can't do keyboard shortcuts. So comparing these better, but again, like it just feels really strange. And just feels like I'm trying to do too much. This at least feels more neutral in the balance. Like, I don't know. That's a strange one. I might read. Let's sit on that one for a minute. And then random question: do you have any inspiration, motivation for all the things that you do? Tonio. I don't know if I have like a singular source when it comes to inspiration. I know I kind of allude to it a bit. I do browse Pinterest quite a lot. I mean, I kind of just take in all the different social networks that most people do. That might be not the most satisfying answer. So it's like the Pinterest, the Behance. I'm a lurker on Behance. I don't post, although I have plans to post. But I do quite a bit of just like looking around. I think there's a lot of really interesting stuff. There's some really bad stuff and there's some really good stuff. But that's kind of every social network. Like, um, I don't know. I think like the diversity and range that comes on Behance is probably my favorite. And they have means of curation, so you can kind of you don't like you can like they have like the unfiltered sort of approach where you can just dive in and find like all the most recent stuff. But with this, they have like um, different like curated collections, and some of them I'd argue like even like the photography channel, you could probably find some shit in here that's like it's all subjective again at the end of the day, so I might not like it. Um, but it's here. I saw your Pinterest, it's really good. Thank you. Do you know about Save? I do know about Save. I think I have an account. It saved that. Just do save. Save it. Log in. Log in. Uh, what? This is kind of a wild screen to land on. I don't know why they're dumping these on me first. One thing I wasn't totally sure about this was that it feels pre-curated. Um, like I think what I like about Pinterest is that you just discover random stuff in there. And I don't know if I'm not save saving it correctly. But yeah, like everything on save feels like it's got a very distinct vibe to it. I don't know how things are added to save. Oh, well here you go. Just add your images. What if I just do like some site images, pictures, site images? No, no. These are all old shit. Well, let's see what happens. This is an old edit, but I don't care. I'm on save. Just like to browse it. Yeah, I mean, I think there's great stuff in here. I think it is nice in the fact that like you don't have to sift through all this shit to find interesting stuff. I think everything on here in some way, shape, or form is valuable and interesting, um, and aesthetically beautiful. So I think it's great for that sense. I think for me, I like all sorts of random styles to pull from sometimes. And I don't. It oddly feels like I'm like all this stuff I could see living on my board. Some stuff that I've seen on like my Pinterest board. Um, yeah, it's all beautiful. I think this is a great resource. I just I wish there was more divergent styles, and maybe I'm just not browsing enough. That could very much be possible. Yeah, definitely some beautiful stuff on here. I'm trying to. So for you, what's the benefit of that um, over what's it called? Like Pinterest. Arjun, what's up, man? Use Arena. I feel like I've heard of that too. I actually don't use it. Pricing. This is where they're losing me. I don't think there's any tool that's worth $5 a month to curate things. That's where they're kind of losing me. I have heard of it. Stones, interesting. Oh, that might be loud. Just whack the mic with my water bottle. I'm sorry. As I do it again. So this is like right here off the camera. So this is like this new boom mic. You can kind of see it. There you go. So slowly getting more professional. I think probably not. Yeah, like I don't think there were many people here for the first part of the stream, but good lord, what a struggle. There's some interesting stuff that goes beyond design. It's free for 500 blocks, but I just browse other people's collections. Interesting. Connections. This is the garden connection. So this is what's so people establish connections to it. Blocks of this URL also appear in. So this is what it appears in. That's kind of a nice system of discovery, though, because there's really not much logic that I can discern. Like, so if I, oh no, like let's say I click into this, it's like what parameters is this based upon? It's sort of this arbitrary association of like, I'm guessing it's people who like this also liked that. So there's some nice connections, but I think like understanding the context of why these different things are related. Um, Not totally clear on this board. Disk project references, I mean, I'm sure that makes sense to them, but the grouping itself, like seeing stuff that's tangential and that people specifically curated, because this is the whole thing of like personal curation versus like automatic or not, like algorithmic curation. I think algorithmic curation only goes so far. I think that's why there's value to things like people who've got solid boards on Pinterest or the arenas or the save. Like there's certain things that like an algorithm can't pick up on. So this is like appreciate you sharing the arena and the save. I think those are two great options. Right now I'm trying to do a creative e-commerce website, but I'm having so much trouble making something pretty and original that satisfies me. Also, I don't have a Pinterest account, but I'll definitely check it more often. Yeah, I mean, Pinterest is just one of the options that I use. It like depending of what like for e-commerce type stuff, I hate to say it, but like Dribble's a pretty good resource for it. Um, hold on, my audio on my wavelength is so I'm playing Spotify. Uh-oh. Okay, good. This isn't broadcasting through here. Sorry. I was like, oh God, I got like the double echoed audio again. Um, but I think like Dribble's good because it has like everything through the lens primarily of interactive design. So you can pick up some things. Some people take it further. I mean, there's it was like synchronized and Xenia. I'm never sure how to pronounce her name, but you can find like stuff that's pushing it and kind of like get ideas off of that. But it's all about how you like to pull inspiration. For me, I like to look outside and try and find something different. There are times where like I'll look at something and want to do something close to it. I'll always try to make it my own, but it's like nice in theory to think of like, oh, I'm just gonna go off and look at architecture and I'm gonna get inspired for e-commerce. Like, not really. Maybe once or twice it's ever happened, but realistically, you're gonna want to look at like what's being done in. I mean, for me, like editorial is what I always come back to. I think like the basics of e-commerce design are always going to be like the fundamentals are the fundamentals. You can't really reinvent that wheel. You can, but I mean, you're probably going to see a drop off in sales. So there's like your little areas that you can play within with e-commerce, um, and those can be few and far between. I definitely understand that, but I'm going for something minimalistic, like in my type is so small in my fucking artistic kind of vibe. Some nice looking 3D objects while still having a user friendly interface. Yeah, I mean, I, it is kind of interesting because I'm having some of the same thoughts of like, if I was on an ecom project right now, like what would I do? Like, I, it depends on like what sort of development abilities you have. But again, you start pushing that too far and you start kind of overstepping some of the best practice sort of fundamentals that you can't sort of run from. And that's where I start looking more towards like static and editorial things, because there isn't much like WebGL going on in e-commerce unless it's like the marketing portion of the site. Then yeah, you can kind of just push that. Um, but yeah, like editorial, like that's probably my most searched. Um, fuck, they've they've I don't know what they're doing with this graphic design. They have editorial. They do. So for me, I find a lot of I don't know. Oh, ooh, voice crack. 35 going on 15. I don't know. I find a lot more like free thinking type stuff um in editorial. I just think they don't have the same sort of limitations that we do. They've pretty much none outside of like gutters and like I don't know. That's really it. Font sizes, yeah, they don't really have to worry about much. And so you can kind of like take the essence of some of these ideas that they're pulling or that they're executing on and like how do you leverage something like that? Um, I mean, you could say something like this is like you start thinking about an interaction with scroll, like a mass scroll window. How could you leverage that in something like maybe a product reveal? Um, I don't know. So it's like that's something where you can take a parallel from like a physical form and bring that into design. Um, but again, not all of this is really relevant. Like I don't really what's going on here. It's, I don't know, picking and choosing from that, if that helps. Um, it's an e-commerce site like that. Oh, Send and Sleep, an e-commerce site that I like recently. Love the breathing typography. Give it a look. Oh, I've seen this. Oh yeah, Lucene, one of my favorite fonts by a long shot. I want the full family, but I just haven't ponied up for it. It is good though. Like the A, it's so beautiful. But yeah, I remember looking at this. I mean, it does abide by all those sort of best practices. Although this is a very strange way to represent the product, I'll say. Like it's not a physical representation. I don't know if the drop shadow is supposed to convince me that this is um what's it called? Um that this is like a physical product. Like I don't know. Am I getting a piece of paper that says 30 milligrams? I don't know. But yeah, type's beautiful on this. This is I don't know, but this is like for what it's worth, like the return of really trying to come up with something unique and kind of crazy of saying the simple message of experience better sleep naturally. Like I don't think there's a lot of return on that. I think the banding's strange, but it's like pick your battles. Like I don't think anyone's like, there's so many other beautiful things going on. Oh, don't you recognize the font instantly? Yeah, yeah. I got I try and stay up on fonts. My thing is I love minimalistic things, but at the same time I love 3D and shaders and 3JS. I'm a student, so my abilities are limited, but I like to aim for something hard. Yeah, I mean, aim high. Try it. Like, I mean, in general, that's kind of what I've done throughout my career is always like it's you have to acknowledge limitations, but it doesn't hurt to blow past them. As long as you have something that could be kind of rolled back into whatever fits that. Like if you start going off and just everything's dependent on some sort of shader and a WebGL experience where things, I don't know, some crazy experience of it all. Probably not gonna have a lot of happy people about that. Um, but I think like over deliver is always something I've striven, strove, strove to do, strove to do. Um, yeah, that's a nice site. But it's always God, words. It's always about like finding a balance. Because at the same time, you don't want to burn yourself out trying to do something crazy that's just not feasible. But at least showing that I think is something showing what's possible for a project. Sometimes that opens things up for increased budget where a client's like, oh shit, like that's beautiful. Like, what does it take to do that? It happens. Um, yeah, it's a fine line of being responsible and irresponsible. Um, but like for things like that, like maybe how you incorporate stuff like shaders and WebGL, it's not dependent, like the experience isn't dependent on those things. It's kind of like a nice to have auxiliary sort of, I call it an augmentation to the experience. Like if you have it, great. If you don't, like there's a doable way. Like maybe it's a static version of a shader. I don't know, or some 3D asset. Um, Hard to say. I mean, there's so many hard realities with e-commerce. It's kind of why I don't miss it as much. Everything's attached to a bottom dollar or bottom line for a company. Bottom dollar. So like everything is scrutinized. So if there's no reason for that WebGL, if they think they can get away with not doing it and saving $5,000 doing it, they're going to do it. So if you want to go that route, like you got to, especially with e-commerce, you got to have something that's generating value and sometimes brands will understand the idea of like brand perception and like okay this element it's a it's a branding element at the end of the day. It's helping reinforce or enhance your brand perception. It's not going to directly attribute to sales, but the perception of the brand will be elevated by making this sort of investment in like this extensive development or to do something more immersive. I think brands are starting to understand that more and more, but I don't know. A lot of brands are very, very cheap. They don't want to do that. Yeah, of course, my first folio is kind of based on a shader, but isn't the main thing. I feel like I think folios are entirely different. Like folios, like go nuts, I would say. Like I don't think those have to be grounded in reality at all. I think mine's more grounded in reality because I don't know how to do any of that cool shit. Like mine's really boring right now. It's kind of a problem, but um, it's what it is. I think it gets the job done. Um, which is kind of funny because like I've spent a lot of time just being like unhappy with where the site has landed in a lot of ways of like it's underwhelming. I knew it was going to be underwhelming going in. It wasn't going to be like a portfolio piece itself, but um, yeah, I thought it'd be a little bit more experiential. So if you have the abilities, I'd say go nuts, man. What are your favorite brands slash visual identities? Hmm, that's a good question. I don't know if I've got a great answer for that. Trying to rack my brain. I think Aesop's got. I think they have a nice brand identity. Like this is something that's like holistic and consistent. Oh man, smaller fonts than mine. Love it. Um, like from their packaging to their retail spaces to their product design to their e-commerce design. I'm sure to all their collateral. Like it's just ASAP. Excuse me. Maybe I don't know ASAP, but like it's very consistent and there's like certain tenets to the brand, and I think the way it's executed at a very high level at all the touch points. Because I think one that comes to mind of not doing this well is Aloe Yoga. So, um, a while back we were brought on to rethink their website, and I was super excited about it because Aloe is a brand. Like if you look at their products, like my girlfriend at the time was obsessed with their product, and like we got to meet them and understand how they developed their product. It's like shit. Like these people are great. Like they were killing it. They were very popular at the time. I think they still are. I think they kind of revamped their image. Um, but then we got to their website and we had all these ideas for it and wanted to kind of elevate the web experience to match what they're doing um, with their products because their products are like they do a ton of testing in it. And then they also have their stores, which are these really beautiful retail spaces, which I think also lives up to the product. Um, just they paid a shit ton for interior designers. Um, like really nice stuff. But then you get to their website and it's just like, the fuck happened here? Like, hopefully no one from Al is listening. I don't really care if they are, but this site sucks. It's dog shit. The type feels awful. I hate what is this? Brandon Grotesque, I think, if I remember correctly. Architecta, that's right. I hate that goddamn font. Um, although they're getting interesting. Someone's trying to help them out, starting with body copy. Um, but it's like this is where there's a breakdown, and their brand was thriving in spite of what was happening on their online presence. And we tried to get them to understand that, but I don't even want to. Some people there who helped develop this were confident that they were responsible for the success of the site or their brand, which is not true. So sometimes good product can carry through, but like this is why something like Aesop's so impressive is like there's continuity across everything. I mean, you could say the same about Nike as well. Like I know it's a huge brand and everyone loves Nike, but It's like the joke that you add a Nike logo to anything and it suddenly makes it cool. Like that's not by accident. That's a shit ton of money and great design. It's not consistent typically. It's kind of all over the map. And sometimes they have some really questionable products and visual identities for things, but by and large, I think it's, I mean, you can see the disjointedness, all their different little, apparently it's very siloed there. I don't really know, but they do some beautiful stuff. Um, also have this weird dilemma since it's an e-commerce website. I don't know if I should limit my creativity for random people to enjoy my website as a normal and usable website, or if I should do something that I like more. I think, I mean, for your folio, I would recommend doing whatever the fuck you like. Like people wanted to complain about Ari's website that we did, and they were like, it doesn't make sense. Like, this isn't the best practices, and it's kind of like good. Like, let the e-commerce stuff be to best practices. Um, like that's where best practices matter. I think there's a lot of people who make a living now on this on best practices, and that's kind of is what it is. But portfolios like go nuts. I think you just lean into all sorts of creativity. Um, Oh, you have a font picker? Yeah, I have what's it called? What font? So it's a Chrome plugin, and yeah, it gives you all the values, which actually has been kind of helpful sometimes if I'm trying to debug my site and look at some like that font looks weird, like what the fuck's going on? What's the value there? Um, but yeah, like for yeah, this Hussein. So it gives you the type spec. I don't know what the Twitter does. Oh, interesting. Huh. Actually, never used that. I don't know why I would, but that's in theory. You can use Fontanello. I've never heard of that one. Is that any better? Oh, it looks like it does something pretty similar. Yeah. Yeah, there's some great Chrome plugins. Like if you don't have some of those, I'm trying to think what other plugins I have. Um, Screenshot one lets you screenshot full pages. I think it's like Fireshot is another one that I used. Window Resizer I use a lot for like screen recording. Um, I would recommend that. That's a pretty good one. I do like that one. Ad Blocker Plus, of course. I used to have more. There used to be one called I think probably most people know about it, the Great Suspender, where um, it would just go ahead and deactivate um, inactive tabs. Like if you didn't use it, it would try and save CPU by just killing the page basically, and you can click to reload it. But found out it's filled with malware, so can't get that anymore. Yeah, all good questions. I don't know any other brands off the top of my head. I probably if you told me them, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's another good one. But like I was saying in the first fail stream, like my brain coming off of some time off is just it's a little hard. Words are hard, thoughts are really hard. So that's kind of why I landed on photos. I started doing some After Effects stuff for the stream, which if you weren't here, started getting into some random stuff. But the execution, there's some things just above my mental pay grade right now. So um, I gotta turn this I gotta close my door and turn the air conditioner on. Shit, this Mac Pro just cooks. Every time I do a stream, it just it does. what was I doing? Cyberduck. This one, it's too dark right now to do that. Do this one. That's what I hope night streaming would turn into. Like being able to do just like all sorts of photo editing. But, you know, it's a little, I don't think it's a great time. And let me see if this works now. So if I do exclamation point survey, come on. Fuck, why doesn't it? So, so this is, I guess I can talk about it again. So I just put together this site or this page on my site this morning. I'm just running blind right now. So I'm just kind of throwing this out there. So if anyone happens to find their way to my live page, they can go ahead and see this and provide some useful feedback. Or I figured it'd be great for the people on stream to have this place where I can just kind of capture what you guys are interested in. I mean, I do everything. There's schedule stuff on here in terms of what time would make the most sense. And this is all PST. I didn't put that in there. And then if you want to do like a critique request, this is in here as well. As I was mentioning earlier, like big thing, make sure you have permission to share this publicly. It's 2:36 a.m. here in France, so I'm gonna go to sleep. Oh shit, Tony. Love your streams. Hey, thank you for coming through so late. I really appreciate it. I'm glad you like them. Feel free to put whatever in. And there's also miscellaneous comments thing here too, like stop saying stop rambling, do more like start to finish type stuff. All that sort of stuff is super valuable because I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. So help. Something's a little weird here. Ah, holy shit, I really tugging on that a little too hard. He just looks cloudy. Show him a luminance mask. By the way, you should go into category science and technology to get more audience. Ooh. Never thought about that. I don't know any like the categories. Like art seems the most relevant. Is there a reason why you think science and technology would get more of an audience? Like I don't know. Maybe I should just dive in there and look at what's in there versus just. I just saw art and I was like, seems about right. Did I paint this in? Didn't. Yeah, there's a creative web audience. Oh, sweet. Yeah, thank you. That's good. Really good to know. See, this is the kind of stuff like super helpful because I'm just like rolling up, kind of winging it entirely. So, yeah, thank you. Really do appreciate it. Oh my God, what's going on here? Huh. Don't do that. Just pretend you didn't see that really weird looking tonal curve. There's like 20 people audience on this category in France. Oh, nice. Yeah, like I think the first time I was streaming on Twitch, I got rated by two different photography channels. So I was like, oh shit, like this is kind of how it goes on Twitch. I have not been rated since. I don't think people are organically finding my channel very much. So, yeah, thank you for that suggestion. I will definitely, probably next stream, I'll switch the category to, what was it? Science and technology. So, yeah, I just wonder if I get into like photo editing and I'm in science and technology, but it wouldn't hurt to like capture that audience and then maybe stick and move. I don't know. I'm gonna go more blue. The last time I did this edit, there's no mid-tone color grading. Kind of like blowing out the midtones a little bit. I think it's too soft there, but the grain's no good. There's Bruno Simon streaming on that category, and he gets an average of 60 to 70 users. Don't worry, if people know the stuff that you do in the web, they'll definitely stick around for photography. That's good to know too. I'm always like apprehensive of like people know me specifically for photography, or are they going to care at all that I'm doing like web design or motion design or any shit like that. So good to know. Bruno Simon. Why do I know that name? This is rad. Clearly I'm a shitty driver. This is so wild. He's the boss of 3JS. Clearly if he's doing stuff like this for his portfolio, I'm driving a car around. I go off the reservation. Oh, he just lets you keep going. Interesting. This is so rad. Huh. I feel like I've seen this before. Maybe not. I don't know. This is pretty cool. Reminds me of the old what was it? Oh, that was beautiful way that loaded in. The rally website. Is that still there? Is Ribbon becoming? Oh, so they have like the more geometric version. Yeah, this is infinitely cooler. Damn, what a savage. Oh, is that immersive garden? Oh, I definitely remember this site. The Citrix Red Bull site is really well done. Yeah, this guy's rad. Yeah, I want to watch his stream at some point. Mm, is he on Twitch? He must be. Same thing. This is insane. What the fuck is he doing? Yeah, it doesn't seem like he talks. Oh yeah, here we go.
I don't have any idea. Come on, let's go. Pressed. We don't care. Like that. And now we... Oh no, it's not trigger. Oh,
Oh,
it is trigger.
go ahead and follow him. Sweet. This project just finished today. Yeah, it'd be wild just to kind of. I should probably watch more like design and development type streams. Everything I watch is like video games, which I don't know if that's the greatest idea. Clearly, he's been doing it for a little bit longer. Has his shit together. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. Swear I'm gonna stop hitting this mic. I think it's better balance. That's where it was before. I don't know. I don't know if the balance is good or not. Almost kind of nice leaning into it the way I did. This is a little bit closer, more like green. I think the yellow gets it a little more accurate towards like the sun's. This is like evening. But I think it just kind of consolidating the tonality feels a little bit better. Surf. So what I can do now is just delete this. Oh, feels good making progress on some of these. I might sit on that. I don't know if I'm going to export it just yet, mark it green, but it's getting close. Yeah, thank you for coming through, Tony, and all the good feedback. Much appreciated. I've struggled with that photo so many times. Kind of curious to see what I can do with this one. Huh. I don't know what that red tonality is about. That's a little curious. That a split tone? Yeah, it is. Weird. What the hell was I thinking? Again, this is another one where it's like you can do too much. Doesn't need like the less you can do, the better. What I think. Unless you're really getting some gains off of adding like a mid-tone, which I'd argue it's not really helping. So the warmer tones aren't helping. It's already cool enough. Sometimes you can get like a transitional color where, like, let's say you have a traditional split tone on something that's a narrow tonal value like this. So there's not a ton. So you can kind of like split tone with two pretty different colors and then bridge the gap with the midtones. Like you don't really need it, but it might just soften it up and reduce the color contrast a little bit. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Highlights are green. Highlights. See the balance is shifted plus 51. And the shadows are like bluish magenta. So like if I wanted to soften it, I would probably put it somewhere in here. But to me, that's kind of muddying the waters a little bit on this image. Like I think I'm just gonna reset the midtones and yeah, just leave it. It's one of those ones that's like, just don't have to do that much. That's the real original image. So it was more of like a contrasty sort of sunrise. But I think just like knocking out the contrast, kind of making it a little bit cooler. I don't know. To me, this is more interesting. It almost seems like a pre-dawn sort of thing, and by dumping the contrast, you kind of have the control of. You can go back to that. You can intensify it and make it seem um, like a directional sort of like sunrise moment. Clearly, this isn't the way I would do it, but I don't know. That's why I always like one of the first steps is just nuking contrast. I do need to make sure these are a little low. And this green is most definitely low. Yeah, so like 160 ISO, like you're gonna pick up a little bit. So my grain right now goes between 12 and 50, or 12 and 15 for the amount. Otherwise, like grain on grain, like depending on the ISO, it might get a little overwhelming. But now I can go ahead and get rid of that. Very cold. I'm happy with that one. I mean, I didn't have to do that much. I This is where it's like editing the photos isn't always a linear line. It's kind of never know. And what's been interesting, like pulling up these, like looking for these images in the my catalog. There's so many. I've shot a couple laps around all the different values that I pick up multiples of the same like file number, and sometimes it's like shit that I just totally forgot about. Nephew, sunset pictures from a certain session. This is mostly, well, I'm gonna get this one, but sometimes I'll like dive in and find like, oh shit, I really missed something here. So this is not terrible. This might take a bit of work. No, don't do that. Reset. I need to get back to it too. I'm trying to avoid using these like primary sliders. I don't think they do a great job. They like create too much instantaneous contrast. So for me, I like to have like more subtle contrast in my shots. That's kind of a way to rebuke that and like have a ton of contrast where I don't really want it. So this sort of, I can always forget the name of it. Parametric curve. Kind of like levels in Capture One. Is it levels? I think it's levels. Yeah. Another one's like, how much do you lean into the interior light being dark? You can start losing things pretty quickly. I'm not, again, I'm become more okay with more about retaining like sort of the moment, I guess I would say. This is where it's important to like look at what you can pull back from these HSL sliders. So in this image, probably more than some others I've been working on, like it's good to know like what I can do. Like, okay, I can dump the luminance on the blues. That means like if I want to, I can up the exposure. I don't really want to. Kind of see on the other side it's a little blown out since this is technically the light source. But then it's good to know as you kind of go back and forth and modify values. I know what's what. It's really interesting. Yellow's in the post. Huh. So I like bringing up the contrast on this. I have an idea of what I want to do with the grade, so I might need that up a little bit more than I normally would. So again, gotta remember to do the balance. Still like, there's still some highlight values in here, but I'm okay kind of leaving those marginalized. It's mostly these blowouts in the windows is what that is. Like, I'm okay disregarding that. Doesn't matter. So I think like warmer kind of helps reinforce the interior like tone. It's all like the columns and everything. That's kind of like the mid-tone value. That's not as much like stylistic color grading as some other things are. So again, I forgot the value sliders on this. So one, I don't know if it's a really a great trick or not. Um, so with the highlights, you can kind of pull back blowouts. If it's sky coming through a window, like you dump the value of it and you give it a tint or you apply a color grade to the highlights that it's more or less the sky tones. So you can kind of recover some of that, but you just got to be careful. Like through, if there's any other highlights, you're going to start incorporating a lot of heavy blues in here. But again, because I messed with the luminance or the balance, shifted that all down, like I'm not really affecting as much in the highlights. Um, so it's definitely incorporating. You can see it's like it's showing up here a lot too. So I think dumping saturation on blues, because this is added on as like artificial blues. This is like, this is the blue. I'm adding blue on top of blue because these aren't blown out. So it's picking up that color. Because like you shoot into the sun, you're not going to pick up much color. So now you see like it feels a bit more balanced. Set it. It's kind of blown out regardless in the beginning, but by you can see like it just recovers it a little bit. It doesn't look entirely natural, but it's better than a blowout if you ask me. Just like a little bit of a blue tint. And then just as you add color, you kind of have to watch saturation in other places. So the master is what I've gone back and forth on. Like how dramatic do I want this to go? I don't know. Let's just go bright. Don't mind it. See how my global highlight shit is. That's what it's affecting right now. So I do like bringing in some of like the greens into the highlight. I think it kind of balances a little bit more, but it just feels a little over. I don't know. It's too balanced in some ways. That's the thing. I think it's like lens correction would definitely help this. This is like some of the color correction too you can get into. It's like with the highlights, you can also use the curves and see how you start bringing it in. There's a lot of like balancing that needs to go on. It feels just too neutral. I'd argue this is the old edit is closer. I think it's because I lifted too much. Staying lifted. Just dunking on these shadows a little bit more. It almost looks like there's kind of an inverse going on here. I don't know what that's from though. It's probably just how I got a feeling it's something. Yeah, it's almost like there's like an inverse somewhere on the tonal curve. There absolutely shouldn't be. Strange. Did the original have that? I feel like there has to be local edits on the original. Yep, there you go. Huh. There's the problem. Where's that lift coming from? It's not the master anymore. It's really not from anything here. That's so odd. That's even worse. I'm beyond confused right now. I just, so the saturation. Might just be my eye fucking with me. I'm not. No, there's definitely something weird going on. Like, what can I do to artificially fix this? That don't want to do. I'll do it. think that makes it better. This is getting into a whole different vibe right now, which honestly, I'm not terribly mad at it. I think the reds through here could probably use a little adjustment. I don't remember fucking with these that much. That's kind of strange. I did on the low end. Actually, I do remember that. Yeah, so this sort of gradation through here is kind of what I'm looking at. I don't know if that's split tone. Kind of? No, it's not. Not HSL. It's got to be here. How is it I'm reducing red and I'm getting more? The fuck? So there it's gone there. Huh. I'm beyond confused. Not my first time. Just so I have both, I'm gonna keep a copy of that, create a duplicate, and then just go back to kind of where this thing was. So much is driven from this single curve. Like, how do I bring back the dramatic nature? But again, avoid this sort of inversion that's happening here. There's nothing I can do to fix that. Outside of airbrush, I think that might be the only way. I don't like doing local edits. I know I bitch about it and then I go ahead and do it. So it's kind of my thing, I guess. See that from a mile away. Dump contrast, it's almost better. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, everything looks artificial. Oh, the shortcuts for this. So if you option, you can go to erase, and then you can still hold that and do shortcuts like opacity flow, and then use your scroll wheel, you can go ahead and adjust the radius of the erase, and then add shift, and you can do the softness of it. So there's so many like ways you can control just your mask with just keyboard shortcuts. So yo, Lambig, what's good, man? How you doing? It has been a minute. So I can make this more dramatic, I guess. I might do something stupid here. So this is not one where I would take notes or say you learned this shit from me. I'm going off the reservation a little bit. So much of this is from the curves palette, which is too aggressive. Again, I kind of want to see if I can artificially create a little more warmth here. Well, back from Boston. Anything new? Not much on my end, honestly, man. I've been gone for a week. Um, had a bit of a golf trip. I haven't played in a year and had a tournament with, it was supposed to be with like 7 buddies, and one by one they all kind of fell off. Having kids, man. Um, Played like shit, but they're holding me to a handicap that is not realistic anymore. So I am not surprised I didn't win this year. But yeah, I'm like, I came back in earlier, so this is like the second part of the stream, and the first one was just shit show, man. Trying to get my brain to like actually do things. Yeah. Not what you would call good. So I need to spend like tonight coming up with shit I want to do on streams. And I think my sort of regular streaming might get shifted to weird hours. I'm potentially picking up a project starting pretty soon, which would last for 5 months. Uh, Still not totally sure if it's what I want to do, but yeah, that could fuck with things a little bit. But yeah, otherwise all good, man. Just cruising. Went to Idaho. So my mom lives up in Idaho, and there's a couple rad courses nearby. So yeah, just messed around. The high altitude helps. Golf ball goes far. It's always fun. Drank way too many beers, so that's probably why the wires are crossed and shit's just not. Brain's not working like it should. This is so blue. There's my answer. I feel like I've lost this one. Yeah, I started going backwards. All right, it's just such a different vibe. And but being honest, this is closer to how it actually felt. This is where I'm starting to like shy away from artificially dramatizing, making things more dramatic than they actually were. I don't really like doing that. But I like dark pictures, so sue me. Selects. Down to it. Kind of happy with it. I don't know. I'm gonna sit with it. At least in my selects folder now, so I can probably this. That's a capture one edit too. All of these with this format, capture one edit. Ooh, that's gotta go. Although I'll say that and probably not improve, but you know, part of the game. That what this is? Yes. See what I can do with this one, make it a little bit better. I've only driven through on the way to Portland. Boise seems pretty chill. Yeah, it's so I was like 100 miles north of Boise. Pretty nice. It was warm. It was hot as fuck. Like first couple of days, like 95, and then this tropical. I don't know. It's like from the Gulf came through and just brought all this humidity with it. I'm a puss when it comes to humidity, so I was just struggling, sweating up a storm. All bad. Then like a storm came through after and brought some rain and lightning, cooled off, so I really can't complain. I'm not gonna lie, it's good to be back. Back working. Can't stay away too long, I get stir crazy. I don't often go positive on blue primary. It's kind of interesting. I get that teal and blue. What if I lean into this even more? Not with that. That's awful. Dehay. Good. Awful. I'm gonna create like an artificial sun light source and move it way the fuck off. Only problem is like if I ever need to edit this, it's fucking gone. I have to like reset all radial adjustments. I don't think I like it. So gonna have to do it anyways. I'll do something weird with this. I don't know if this is gonna work. This is almost in like the abstract area where you can just. I feel okay just throwing the rules out the window. I don't know if that's quite it, but and if I want to just embrace the texture, sometimes I'll just dehaze a little bit. So it just flattens it out, adds a little contrast where it was missing. That actually worked better than I expected. Taking any shots while you're up there? No. Photography, very important distinction to make. I didn't take the other kind of shots either, but drank enough beer. Yeah, the camera's just been sitting in my bag. I'm waiting for, like, there's not much I really want to shoot right now that's local. Um, it's kind of shitty summer winds for surfing. I probably should shoot like Malibu sometime just to like say I've done it. I never swam it. Lifeguards can be kind of dicks about it. Um, but yeah, I'm waiting for like inland east to cool off a little bit. So anything like in the southwest this time of year, just you want a great example. One of my favorite places. Oh, good. It's only 120. Fuck that. Um, oh, it's coming down to 113 though. Don't worry. That's like I write off the whole Southwest unless it's by the coast. And the problem is like Big Sur. It's just so crazy this time of year. I don't really know if that's the game I want to play. And I've shot Big Sur so many times. I think it'd be nice to kind of like dive in and I don't know, like spend more time in a couple places. I've like hiked a lot around there, but I haven't really gotten out and shot. Um, I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for. I really want Japan to open up. That's. I guess I'm watching the Olympics and like nothing's. There's no one there because they're not letting anyone in. A little sad. I'm pretty close. I'm not gonna lie, I like this one. More unified. This is more dynamic of a grade, but I don't think this is calling for that. I think you could use the same dehaze. So, did it? What about you, man? Do you shoot at all? Oh, son of a bitch. That flattens that out. Let's see. I think there's some old settings in here. Just gotta fix. Maybe a little something, something. Mid tones. A little color contrast through some of these regions. Undecided whether that's actually helping or not. It's really subtle. See off. Greasy stuff going on here. Don't really advise. Although I'm going to do it here. Parametric curves smoothens things out, so if I'm going to get greasy and push things, I feel better about doing it this way, but not great. Good. Hmm. Weird how your eye just gets used to things. Almost better? I don't know. It's different. Leaning into the contrast, probably too much. But I'm gonna kind of just mark this. Give it some time. I think it's 90% of the way there. I want to get into it more. I've had a camera for the last 10 years, but I'm trying to make it a daily habit to shoot and edit, even if it's garbage. That's what I would do the same shit, if I'm being entirely honest. Like, I just walk around the block. I would just do whatever. Just try and get into like different conditions. When was that? Yeah, this guy. Um, Not supposed to be green. Not terrible. But yeah, I think that's a good way to do it, man. Just like stay active, start learning things, just shooting whatever. I think having experience, especially when you go to like if you spend money to go travel and you get up really early to go like shoot something, you feel comfortable with your camera. You can because it's also like experiencing. I know it sounds like kind of wankish, but being able to experience the moment, not just like stressed out with your camera and kind of like worrying about capturing things. So establishing some familiarity, I think, is super helpful. Um, Fucking this one up. This one's kind of a wild story with this one. There's a guy apparently shooting at this exact same time. There were like one or two other photographers there. It's kind of like a known spot. It's like the worst kept secret. But some other guy was shooting. I didn't really think much of it, but then like a couple weeks ago, a guy posted an image, and I recognized the splash pattern of this image in his image, and it looked like I was like, I sent him a message, like I DM'd him on Instagram. I was like, hey bro, like I don't know if you thought you can get away with like just. I thought it was a composite. I was like, you can get away with like stealing my image and incorporating it. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I like showed him the screenshot side by side and even like the overlay on it. And and I was like, feel free to prove me wrong if you got your raw files. Like, I'd love to see it. And he fucking had it. So this is why, like, I don't. You never know. Like the chances of that happening, like the similar enough angles, the same exact second on the same exact wave, like it is so fucking improbable. And I apologize profusely to him. Like, I'm fucking sorry, man. Like that was way out of line on my part. Like I was confident that was like my picture. I overlaid it to be sure and did like a bunch of math in my head. Like if the wave looks exactly the same, there's like no fucking way he captured it. But he did. He was pissed. He's like, "Don't you ever fucking talk to me again." Like I was like, I just sat it and took it. I was like, "Yeah, oh, yeah, sorry to," because it was like it's a shitty thing to accuse someone of like stealing something. Like I don't blame him for being pissed at all. Um, so now I like watch myself a little bit more. I'm glad I didn't post it on my like stories. Like, hey, check this guy out stealing my shit. Oh, yeah, I live and learn. My bad. Homeboy's listening to my stream somehow. Although he blocked me on Instagram, so I don't get the impression he actually is. Ooh, that's the old edit. That's insane. Yeah, it was like one that I recognized it from like the browse tab of Instagram. I was like, that looks like my way. And I like went through my catalog, found this image, and I was like, motherfucker, he stole it. Although there was the slightest bit of difference, and I didn't know like if he I was trying to figure it out, like whether he did like a distort to it, like he just did like a perspective transform slightly, so it wasn't one to one to match up, but it was close. Like I could get this whole line of splash was aligned, this wave almost it was identical. Some of these like it was the same exact splash through here, but it was just shifted slightly, and I was like, this sneaky motherfucker wants to like avoid getting caught, and like he's doing all this other shit. It's like all he did was apply a color grade to it. He did not fucking do any of that. It's yeah, you never know, man. It's fucking wild. The kind of shit that can happen. I don't know if I like that. Yeah, better. Better than this, that's for sure. I mean, this is the style. It's just too crunchy. Really high, what's it called? Clarity. Something I used to do a lot. Like positive dehaze or positive clarity. Although it's negative clarity. And then this is probably, yeah. Here you go. I can't think of a reason why I'd ever recommend someone do this. Yeah, both sides are saying the fact that you took that shot plus he actually took the same shot. Yeah. And like shooting, I mean, this is, wow, that's pretty slow. I can't believe it came out as clear as it did. 800's like as slow as you want to go. So like the same 800th of a second. And like this place, like there's waves going in every direction. Like this is basically two waves colliding. And like it's going backwards, it's going against. Like you can see the waves coming in the background. Like that's the predominant way, like the swells are coming in. But this one came against it. And so I think that day we were like 3 or 4 people shooting, and like people are panning back and forth, and like you never really know which one's going to turn out to be a good one. So if it was like a clear, like, oh, this is going to be like, this is going to be the one that's going to make the most interesting sort of collision of waves, like that makes sense. But like some of these best ones are like some of the most random ones you don't expect. And that kind of happened. So like the math I was doing in my head constantly was just like, there's no fucking way. This guy definitely took it, but strange things happen. Only thing I'm left looking is like this, it feels a little saturated over here. And dark, being honest, yeah. Feels better, I think. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I did it, because like everything was kind of, it's like a cheap vignette. This is like blue tones in the shadows through here. There's blue tones in the shadows and the water. So it was kind of like this all-encompassing sort of, it's a vignette without being a vignette. I'm thinking it's like this horizon line is that's distracting. I want to get rid of that. It's already a bit cleaner, and I could probably take this wave out. But I think the horizon and the predominant wave direction gives it context of like this is what I mean. So it's called backwash. If you're not familiar. Like this is pretty wild for backwash to look like that. So I don't know. Maybe it gives some context and makes it more impressive in some way. Yeah. So this is actually different than both of those. It's not even in here. Oh, it's right here. Again, different style. Things I like about this, but it's just so art. It's I'm kind of over artificially like changing the mood of things. This feels more in line with it. It's like really not mad about it. I wonder if I can make a quick duplicate and get this somewhere in that range. I don't think it's as easy as just, yeah. Let's see if it might just be redoing this. One of these probably not as applicable in the way they were on the other edit. Again, balance. I always forget. I think this, like, it starts getting heavy. I don't think I found a way around that on this, did I? It's like so dark. Did I create a duplicate? What? Oh, I stacked them. It's always kind of interesting modifying grades to different tonal range. Kind of have to, sometimes you have to restart, sometimes you can kind of get away with it depending on how hard you're pushing and pulling. Any of this looks good. Almost like I would want to just remove that context. You know, like this kind of becomes this really odd, confusing, abstract almost. Like there's just no context to what the fuck's going on. It's just like this hole somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I just think it's the horizon line might be just makes it too real. So I'll probably get rid of this. Or try. That's what do that. Other. Hmm. This one's for sure gonna require some tonal curve buckery. And again, this is like running into the same beef, like the original, the original beef I had with Lightroom. You just get into these like narrow ranges and you start just running out of options. That's why the color, for me, the color grading tool was such a game changer for Lightroom. It just gives you another option. Like this was your only way to do like tonal specific color grading besides split tone in Lightroom. So the fact that this can be done now is kind of nice. But again, like if I'm trying to do corrections, like this tonal curve is so small. You find yourself getting in trouble and creating banding very quickly with it. Or at least the way I use it. I don't know. How do I feel about that? This one's more neutral, obviously, but it's got more of a grade. Same, but different. I mean, more accurate, more stylized. Both work. I don't know. Put them both in selects. I'm trying to get rid of the worst offenders. I really should just be doing all of them. But then I end up just jumping around for a while and not fixing anything. Like, oh, that's not that bad. That's not that bad. They are that bad. I'm just not seeing it for some reason. This one's just got to go regardless. I don't like that image. Bugs me every time I see it come up. How do I fix that? 9, 4, 6, 7. That's what I was talking about. Like, this is a shot I might want to put in the screensaver. I've got one that's kind of similar to the same dunes. It's kind of shifted one direction, but I don't like it. Terra. Just this. Like, I can't believe I let that in the frame. I mean, it's not. Oh, there's already a full edit done on this. Oh, see, I already got rid of it. I don't think that great is it, but what's your go-to lens for landscape? So I'm predominantly, I would say, 24 to 70. I have a, what's it called? A 16 to 35, which I think is great in some instances, but I don't think it's really necessary most of the time. There's some instances like you shoot Yosemite or something, it's like you literally can't get wide enough. If you have to be anywhere like in the valley shooting up, it's just like, fuck, like I can't get all this in the way that I want it. Like even go to Iceland. There's any examples. This will be Carolingan Fold. Like all these are all, I believe these are 24 to 70. Yeah, focal length 49. Shooting broader landscapes, like it almost always is enough. If I put this in selects, incidental. Yeah, there will be the times where like shit, I just don't have the right lens, but for me, like I don't like changing lenses. I don't like zooming with my feet. I just kind of want the one be all end all solution. I have a wild edit. So that's kind of what I prefer. I think there's a lot of people who might have a different opinion and say like, no, the wider you go, the better. If you don't mind changing lenses, because I think for me, when I go and experience landscapes or whatever, there's so much other shit to see along the way. It's like, for me, like I'm walking around, I'm looking at like, so in this instance, I'm looking at like this rainbow, and then it's just like, oh, there's some interesting rock outcroppings. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking for this, but it's like that idea of I can kind of just like point around. It's just like, oh, hey, this is kind of interesting. Oh, then there's this, and there's this. Whereas if you have a 16 to 35, like you've got to get like real up close. So like something like this, you come up to like a shack and it's just like, oh shit, I just want to shoot this. And you could do 16 to 35. But yeah, I'm coming from a place of laziness and convenience. So some other people are very open to the idea of switching lenses all the time. But yeah, that's kind of my be all end all. I'd probably say 90% of my photos are taken on a 24 to 70. Although if you want to mix things up, what I've been doing lately, let's see, like getting into details. So these are all like 24 to 70. So there's something about like going wide and trying to get the whole thing, and then there's a whole different mentality of like something like Yosemite that's so impressive. It's like I just want to pull in and show like the scale of all the water falling. Like to me, that's interesting, but it's very niche. Like I don't think you can do that for everything. So yeah, if I were to pick one, 24 to 70. long answer, not much shorter. This in here, 0.05481 is different edit though. Interesting. Not a bad edit. Oh, good God, what's going on here? This is when I used to do a lot of like added contrast through like channels. I'm just gonna stop asking the question and just look for it. Benefit S curve color channel. I'm trying to find out like why there was a point that I was doing this and I don't know why I do it or why I did it at some point. Um this thing goes too far. This is all Photoshop editing. I don't think the curves in Lightroom add saturation. I think it's just purely luminosity. Could be wrong. Probably. Oh, we're starting over. I'm gonna keep that, but that's the original. Just do my black and white and call it a day. I'm like, I don't like presets, but I think this one turned out pretty decent. Thought I had done more like done more with that, but that's what I was leaning towards. Looking to switch to A7 III, so trying to figure out then the lens I'll start with. I plan on doing some video and car photography. Depends what I guess car photography. Yeah, I mean if you're trying to do like stills, um, I mean something like the interior could be interesting to or beneficial to have something super wide because you're in such a tight spot. If you're planning on doing more exterior stuff, I think 24 to 70 would be a good range. You really don't have much use for that. You can kind of zoom with your feet with something that's just like so specific as a car. You can kind of like, you can get up close, but you might not always have the space to go wide. Or if you're doing action shots, there's the whole like, get the big telephoto zoom lens out and you can kind of do all those panning shots and stuff like that. But 24 to 70 again is like a pretty safe option. And also keep in mind you can always crop in or punch in. So if you shoot wide, you can punch into it, but if you're gonna like you can't add pixels obviously. I plan on doing some video. Oh yeah. Yeah, A7 III from what I understand is great camera for video. Sorry. Hmm. This is where I'm gonna jump the HSL shark and just go straight to these. They're just I'm trying to make this dark and dramatic. It's kind of the route I need to go. I can go back and use the parametric curve or whatever the fuck. Again, this is when that darker preset is going to be helpful. Oh, but yeah, I never really found out the answer. This guy's not going to give me the answer I'm looking for. Yeah, I don't see anyone really talking about individual channels. S curve or channel. Why is curve each RGB channel? Oh, luminance and saturation simultaneously. That makes sense. Seeing those editing guides on YouTube and Instagram, which seem to say that these curves should be exact same, but I realize that unless you're I understand these editors who literally say now apply the same curve on test. There's absolutely no difference from applying identical RG and B curves versus one single RGB curve on the RGB channel. Furthermore, these editors will manually apply the same curve to each channel. This will lead to inconsistencies in each channel because there's no way to match them perfectly without typing in actual input-output numbers, but these inconsistencies are completely unintentional and happenstance. There you go. There's literally no reason, like if I'm creating the same S curve, like I should just do it from a neutral 45-degree angle, not like this. So these, like I made adjustments, but all it's really doing is adding contrast, and I should have just done it here. And so I'm fighting. This is kind of interesting to see my brain, not about working, but I'm trying to rectify like all the contrast I've added through here because it's like dumping these low end values on all these channels. And I'm like, I don't want it that low. So I'm having to like lift RGB channel to try and like offset it and make it somewhere neutral. Play stupid games, get stupid prizes. What can I say? Like, turn this oddly? At least I'm happy I can like I'm confident now that like I didn't go backwards. Not like, oh shit, I've had something figured out and I forgot. Nope. I was fucking up. All right, checking something. Again, didn't do the balance. So that highlight was literally doing nothing. Now it's doing a whole lot. Love to see it. These values are all weird now. Seems like there's red like in the grass. Yeah, see all that added clarity. You can see the faded, like how much lighter this is because that curve channel was so bumped up. Like the RGB was, oh, doing some funky stuff. I did like the grass. I think was a better color. I don't know if that's calibration. Seemed like it. It's a calibration values. See the benefit of copying that? 35.5. Oh, I went the other way. Hmm. It's so wild. Like I was kind of fine looking at this a second ago. I'm still like from afar, I think that looks pretty decent. Okay. This is pulled too far. Global's luminance is dumped. It's like hmm. You can see it now. Like reddish. Oh, it's not even close. Huh. Just seeing shit. Eyes are going. It's been a good run. That feels better, but then dump the saturation. I think that's getting closer to where it was. Again, so this aqua being dumped, like I don't, I'm trying to avoid doing that if at all possible. Yeah, all that clarity, all it does is just bring out all the hard edges of the grass, and like I don't personally don't see the point. It almost has that weird inverted feel to it as well. It's not. Just like the way the wood stained, it almost looks kind of like it has that characteristic, but it doesn't. I don't like not that. So if you're messing with any sort of like grass color grade, yellow goes a long way. Green obviously does if it's any sort of green grass, but yellow also will do quite a lot. So it feels a little oversaturated in comparison. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. One thing I want to try. S. Oh, proof preview. Forgot that one. I don't even fuck with the global yet. Oh, unified even more. Warm's interesting, but I don't think it's quite right. I think a subtle, like additional blue. Pull it together a little bit more. I'm glad I like. So your question sent me in to find this one. I haven't seen this image in a while, especially since it's coming back to Lightroom. Boom. It's not green though. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there. I think it's good little progress. Couple edits done. Added to the repository. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and probably take tomorrow off. Maybe come back Friday. I think I just need a day to like get my brain sorted out. But yeah, Lambig, good chatting, man, as always. Appreciate the questions, and yeah, I'll have more structure again. And I'm hoping to have videos done by this week. Yeah, probably next week. It's realistic. So I will probably post those out. So, all right, man. Have a good one. Everyone else coming through. I don't know exactly how many people are here per usual, but yeah, I'll probably be back Friday. So, all right. See you guys.